Don't forget, the Invincible podcast is coming to you live.
It's going to be taking place at the Islington Assembly Hall on Tuesday, the 23rd of May. Tickets are available right now. Click the link and get involved now.
Come and join us.
Introducing FANZONE. My friend Elliot from Canada.
We are still
Say we
top of the league. We are top of the league. We are top of the league. Say we are top of the league.
Allows any fan, anywhere you are on the planet, to broadcast live into our shows at the push of a button via our website or app.
I'm tired of hearing about the Europa League like it's silverware. So is the League Cup. So is the Dubai Cup. So is the Community Shield.
Michael, come on, they're not the same level.
No, I mean it.
Cecile. My guy.
FANZONE on AFTV Plus. You can download it on iOS or the Play Store and have your say.
How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to AFTV FANZONE every Monday, well, more or less every Monday, live at 5 p.m. It's me alone, as you can see, no guest next to me. It's become somewhat of a regular theme, but I enjoy it. More one-on-one conversations with the people of AFTV, watching wherever you are, whether it be here in Europe, Africa, Asia, across the world, wherever it is. You can download the AFTV Plus app and take part yourself. Follow the instructions, and yeah, this is what this show's about. So big up everyone that's already here waiting. There's 200 people here already. And the question is, do you still believe? I see someone, William, a regular, saying, believe what? Do you still believe we will win the league? Do you still believe we can win the league? And when I say we can, I don't want to hear mathematically as one of the reasons being why. I want to hear more than just maths being the primary source of positivity. Because, you know, City have to drop points in 2 of their last 4 games. They've got 3 away games in the last 4. Can it happen? Of course it can happen. Will it happen? If you're asking me, probably not. But we will see. I hope it does happen. And I hope the people that do believe and the people that do think we're going to win the league are right, because it's been a long time. It's been a long time. And the progress we've made over the last 18 months, some of the football we've played this season, some of the not just some, all of the connection that the fans now have to the players. I think if we were to win it, we would have deserved it. But then if Manchester City win it, that's not to say they didn't deserve it, because whoever finishes top of the Premier League deserves to be the champions. That's how I see it every single season. That's how I say it. So we'll see, people. But that is the question. Do you believe we will win the league? Do you believe we can win the league? There's a mixed reception in the chat already. I can see some people saying yes, some people saying no. There was a comment here earlier from 11, I believe. Sorry, but it was already over after the West Ham game. City win their game in hand. They are 4 points ahead of us with only 3 games left to play. It's well and truly over. So I think we know what side of the fence Mr. 11 is at this current moment. Hit the like button as well, people. Let's get the likes up as usual. And yeah, make sure you download the AFTV Plus app. I know we've got a few people waiting already, and we're going to get into callers pretty much straight away in the next few minutes, but I do want to see what the chat is saying as well. Aslan here says, this season was amazing. Throughout the whole season, I was disappointed a few times in those 35 games. We've got to still believe, because City can slip, but also accept the second place, because that's where we are right now. It is what it is. You know, we've talked about whether this season can be deemed a success, if we don't win the league. We've talked about the progress behind potential failure. We've discussed that in a FANZONE not so long ago, and that's probably a topic we can touch in on again come the end of the season, when we know whether we win the league or whether we haven't won the league, whether we've got over the line or whether we just come up short. And I believe callers are ready, so you know what, let's just get straight into it, because this show does tend to run over an hour, but that's because I like to waffle on a bit. But let's hear who's in the building. I think we have Deeney in first. Yo, my bro.
What's going on, Turkish? You good? You blessed?
Yeah, man. I'm good still. How about you?
Yeah, no, I'm good, man. Feeling good. Bank holiday Monday, chilling. You know what I mean? Chilling.
I hear you, man. So talk to me, man. I mean, let's start with the Newcastle game. I mean, We talked a couple times last week.
Wait, I can't hear you. I've lost. I think.
know?
Hold on, I can hear you. I can hear you.
You can hear me, yeah. The
so-
Newcastle win. It was a big win. I didn't see us taking 3 points. The form we were in, the form Newcastle were in. I just thought it's another away game. In terms of the checkpoints this season, Anfield,
tough one.
Etihad, St James Park, but we got the job done. 2-0. What did you make of it?
Yeah, no, I think we did speak last week, and I said 1-0 win because the reason I said 1-0 because I knew it's going to be a tough game. It was a tough game. We can't act like Newcastle haven't been playing some serious football recently, and they absolutely deserve to be where they are right now. And that Chelsea game, like I said, like we all saw, it was just Chelsea. They haven't been playing well, so this was the real one we needed to get across. And if we lost yesterday, then this question that we're asking now, do you still believe? We probably wouldn't be asking that question right now because, do you know what I mean?
That would have been the nail in the coffin.
Exactly, absolutely. But because we did go to St James's Park and we did win, we just keep asking Man City a question. That's all we can do right now is keep asking the question because they have a lot more games coming up. Like they go to Real Madrid tomorrow, Champions League, big game. If they lose, Pep might potentially have a selection headache going into their game against. Who are they facing? Who are they facing on Sunday?
Man City, Everton away.
That's it. Playing Everton away. So he has to go into that game thinking, does he play his strongest team or this, and because now Everton are fighting for something, and then they play Real Madrid again next week. Yeah. So it's this moment right now where it's like they want to win the Champions League, they want to win the three-peat, but they can't lose. If we have a chance of winning the league, all we can do is keep the pressure on City, and their pressure alone could almost crack because they haven't won the Champions League. Pep's there to win the Champions League. Do you know what I mean? So if we are to win the Premier League, it has to come from City falling, and whether that will happen, that's the big question. We don't know, but all we can do is keep winning our games and hoping for the best.
I hear you. It's obviously good as well, in my opinion, that the first leg of that Champions League tie is away at Madrid.
Yeah.
Because I do think City will win it over the 2 legs, but I prefer it this way because I think there's still a lot to be played for come the game at the Etihad. I don't see City getting a big enough result at Madrid to kind of put it to bed before that Everton game.
Because if they take, and that's what I'm saying, if they take that win to the Etihad, the Premier League's pretty much done by then because it's like they know they're in a Champions League final by then, and all they need to do is practically just not lose.
Yeah.
Basically not lose because their goal difference is much higher than ours as well. As much as actually, no, we didn't concede yesterday, which is good, but we've conceded so many goals, and I don't see us even closing that goal difference that much in the next couple of games. So we need miracles. We need miracles, and we need them to lose. Yeah,
listen, I think the goal difference argument it's a myth now. I think they've kind of kicked on in the last couple of weeks. It wasn't that long ago that there was only a couple goals between us, and now off the top of my head, what is it, 16 or something like that?
I believe so. Now it's just literally flipped like that.
Yeah. So two draws for City in the last 4 is not enough. It's not enough.
It's not enough. It's absolutely not enough. And I don't see us banging goals against either Brighton or Nottingham Forest or Wolves because they all got still something to fight for.
Yeah, they do. That's a very good point. Deeney, do you believe that we will? Do you believe that let me just leave it at we will, not we can.
I believe we can. I don't believe we will simply because of the machine Man City are, and that's just it. That's literally just it. But as long as we are still there, keep asking the question. All you can do is just win your games for the rest of the season. That's all we can ask for, is to do the best you can to win your games for the rest of the season. And if on that last day we have a chance, we're gonna be there regardless. We will be there. So let's see what we can do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess our belief, it has to come from whether Manchester City drop points or not, because obviously mathematically that's what it comes down to. But if you ask me, can Arsenal win the remaining games we have? Yes, of course. I actually believe we will win the rest of the games that we have left. It's more so looking at Manchester City, and even looking at last season. Looking at last season, and Liverpool fans must have been saying the same thing leading up to that final game. They was always a point adrift, and
that's all it was. And they literally were winning the Premier League with 11 minutes to go or something.
Yeah.
And they're just like that, Man City. So that's what we're hoping for. We're hoping the machine breaks down.
Yeah, we are. Couple names I want to ask you about in relation to yesterday's game. Let's start with man of the match, Jorginho. I mean,
his calmness, like it's just a calmness, and it's just not having to be as physical as someone like Partey. You know what? He can just turn. He can see where the ball's gonna drop. I think James was saying it yesterday. It's almost, I don't want to go over the top, but sometimes it's almost majestic to see how easy he can make a game look. Do you know what I mean? And that's another thing that is great that we can see that can come in, especially if going to the Champions League next season. Something like that's going to be key, something different, something common, because Partey was someone that hasn't been playing well the last few games, and we needed that change. And I'm glad Arteta is trusting this man, and I'm glad Jorginho is delivering, because that's what we want, that experience, that leadership, and that's what these young boys need.
Yeah, and he's obviously got a year left on his deal as well. We gave Nene a new contract. Reason I'm mentioning these factors is because a lot of us hoped that we signed 2 midfielders this summer, at 8 and a 6. Do you think that's realistic, considering next season we've definitely got Partey, we've definitely got Jorginho, and we will have Nene too?
I mean, it depends on, because you see players like, for example, Holding and Elneny, they don't necessarily, from what I've seen over the last few years, they're players that don't necessarily not mind in being in the match day squad every single week. Do you know what I mean? Like, they will come in and do a job. So for those players and buying more players, then there's potential that they can be there, because there are just squad players that just want to be a part of the squad and be a part of the line. So there is potential, but we want to have depth like City. Do you know what I mean? We want to have that depth, and we don't want to keep going into games where it's like, oh, we're not sure about bringing this player in and this, that, and the other. No, let's just have these players. Let's have them, and then let's sort out the problems when we get there. I'd rather have like 5 midfielders to pick from than 3, but with someone like Partey being like inconsistent with injuries, like availability is the best of league. Do you know what I mean? So I'd rather have 5. I'd rather have 5 and it's an electric headache to pick from than like 3. So yeah.
Do you think? Because the way I see it is, if we were to add another 6 into the team, that gives the option to go to a double pivot when needed too. Maybe that could be an option that Arteta wants to. But I haven't seen.
Didn't we see Jorginho and Partey play yesterday? It did happen.
Yeah.
They came with like 20 minutes left, but that definitely could be something. Because why not? We need to be more flexible, more versatile in the way we're going to be playing next season, because the team knows exactly how we're going to play, and they know how to stop us as well. So we need to think even more outside the box now.
Yeah. What about Kivior, Deeney, before we wrap it up? Because he's started the last couple of games. Too little, too late for me, because I feel like he should have probably come in.
Hindsight is a beautiful thing. Hindsight is an absolutely beautiful thing, and you know what? If he did start then who knows what could have been. But he only had a couple starts. He started at Sporting. He had a few minutes against Palace. He didn't really have the confidence or the playing time. So it's like, okay, this is a real crunch time. We're going to bring you in right now. Who knows what's going to happen? If he was at fault for some of the goals, his confidence could have been even worse for the rest of the season. Then it would have been holding against like Newcastle or something, or this, that, and the other. Do you know what I mean? So at least he knows now for next season that Kivior is someone that can come in, and I'm glad Kivior did play really, really well yesterday, because it's going to boost his confidence more for the rest of the season. So it's brilliant. It's brilliant that it's happened now. Annoying that maybe you didn't see it earlier, but I'm glad it's happened now, at least.
Actually, I've got one more question for you. It's just popped in my mind now. This summer, would you rather sign a right back that allows us to utilise Tomiyasu or Ben White as a backup to William Saliba, or would you rather buy a backup right centre back for William Saliba and go in with Ben White and Tomiyasu as our right back options?
I think I'd buy a right backup for Saliba and keep Ben White on the right. I think he's been brilliant. He's been brilliant this season, and I feel like he can absolutely push him. So I say we keep him out there and we buy a backup for Saliba.
Fair. I don't necessarily mean Ben White gets dropped, because in my opinion he has been the best right back.
Oh no! I know what you mean. I just wanted,
yeah, because we're linked to Fresneda, and I'm just thinking, well, we haven't been linked to a right-sided centre back yet, so maybe that is the plan. But we'll see, Deeney. I mean, you still believe that we can. You don't believe that we will, but I get where that comes from, because I'm pretty much in the same boat as you, my guy.
It's a tiny, small light Turkish, and if you really look, You might be able to see it.
I don't know, man. I need to go opticians, my guy.
No, it's dark, bro. It's dark.
I'm not seeing the light. Listen, my guy. Love for logging in as usual, my guy. We'll talk
bro,
again
anytime,
soon.
Man. You know, enjoy the rest of your bank holiday Monday, yeah?
Come on, man. You too, my guy. Take care of yourself. Love. We've got a super chat here from Ricky saying, I believe we have a top team that can fight for the title. With top quality transfers. For that, we need to finish as close to City as possible and be the best of the rest. Yes, and second place is secured now, I believe. I think someone said yesterday that us taking a point at St. James Park would secure second spot. Second spot means nothing in terms of success, but it means a lot in terms of recruitment come the summer. And I agree that finishing as close to City as possible, potentially going down to the last day, that bodes better for players looking to come to Arsenal thinking they can be the final piece or one of the final pieces to the puzzle. But we'll see. I think we've done so much good work this season that our summer window and how attractive a proposition we are isn't affected by the final 3 games that we do have left. Win, lose or draw, I think what we've done should be enough with Champions League football and the money that brings to bring in the top quality transfers that you mentioned there, Ricky. I believe we have Junior ready to come in as well. Yeah, we do.
Hello?
What are you saying, Junior? You good?
Not too bad. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you feeling about the result yesterday? Was that expected or are you happily surprised like I am?
I think I'm more surprised. I thought we were going to lose like 3-1, if I'm being honest. I didn't think we were going to win. But no, I'm happy with the result. But like the question in the title says, I don't think it's going to mean much in the end. But no, it's nice to get a win finally and a clean sheet away from home as well.
So you don't believe, Junior? I might as well not even ask the question.
Nah, I don't believe.
Do you? So let me break the question down a bit. Do you believe Arsenal will win the last 3 games that we have this season?
I think we'll win the last 3, but
Man City won't drop it.
I think we'll win the last 3. Yeah. I think we'll win the last 3 games. I'm not sure about Brighton, but the last 2, I can see us winning. Okay, so your lack of belief comes from the same place mine comes from, and that's City not dropping 4 points in the last 4 games. Well, it need to be 5 points, but yeah, they're just a machine. So I completely understand where you're coming from. So you thought we'd lose 3-1. What did you make of the game then? I mean, a couple standout performances. I think the whole team done well. As I mentioned to Deeney, Jorginho was the man of the match. How did you initially feel about Jorginho coming in January? How do you feel about him now? And are you happy that he's still got a year left on his contract for next season? I think originally I thought it didn't really make sense because obviously we're linked with what's his name, Caicedo. Yeah. And then we went from him to Jorginho. I was like, it's not really the most exciting signing, but whenever he's come in, he's actually done quite well, to be fair to him. He hasn't really played that bad. Mm-hmm. But no, I think obviously next season I think we will look to improve on him because obviously we'll be in the Champions League, so we can look to improve on that position. But no, I think he's done alright. I think he's done good when he's been called upon. Yeah. By next season, you saying that we'd look to improve on him. Do you mean this summer or do you mean at the end of his contract? I meant in the summer. Yeah, in the summer. Yeah. So that'd leave us with Partey, Jorginho, El Nene, and the potential new number 6 coming in, which leaves us stacked in that position, to say the least. Even though El Nene, I guess the year extension we gave him was more due to his loyalty to Arsenal, the injury he has at the moment. With that injury, finding a new club would be very difficult. I guess it was a bit of loyalty back from Arsenal to him. So I'm not necessarily looking at El Nene to have any sort of impact next season. So maybe that was simply a nice move by Arsenal to give him the year extension. What about Kivior? Kivior's come in last couple of games. It's leaving me thinking, why not? Why didn't we bring him in a few games earlier? How do you feel about Kivior? I think he's done quite well, to be fair. I think it just makes it more annoying that he played really well against Chelsea, played really well against Newcastle, and just makes you think, well, where was he against Man City or West Ham or Southampton or even Liverpool? Yeah. And doesn't make sense because you brought him in January to be back up to one of the two defenders, and now that they're both out Saliba's out injured, and you still start Rob Holding, so it didn't really make sense why he waited so long to start him. But no, I think he's done well since when he's played the last 2 games. So hopefully that means now, well, the last 3 games, like I said, doesn't really mean anything. So it doesn't make a difference if we win, lose or draw. But hopefully these next 3 games, it will give a bit more confidence, and hopefully next season, if we do get another injury, hopefully it'll be him starting more than Holding, because I don't really want to see Rob Holding here next season anymore, because I think he's proved in the last few games that even though he's not the reason why we didn't win the last few games, he's still a bit of a liability, and the difference in Saliba and Holding is a bit, you can tell their quality is different. So yeah. Kivio's definitely done well.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need to definitely upgrade on Rob Holding come this summer now, because not just end of this season, end of last season, you know, we saw that it's not the ideal backup to have for William Saliba, or last season it was Ben White. Why do you think he was selected when Saliba got injured? Do you think it's the case of 2 left-footed centre-backs that a lot of fans have told me that you can't have 2 left-footed centre-backs next to each other? Do you think it's us being nice again? You know, we just mentioned being nice with Nene, giving him the year contract extension whilst he's got an injury. Rob Holding's obviously one of the longest serving players at the club at this moment in time. Do you think it was tactical, 2 left-footed centre-backs, or do you think it was, you know, Arteta's side, you know, going with the guy that's been here long and trusting that he can live up to the standard that we want to see?
I think it's a bit of both, really. I think it's 50-50 really, because I think obviously we saw it, and then are you talking about Rob Holding or Kivio?
I'm talking about the choice to go with Rob Holding as soon as Saliba was injured, rather than going straight in with the new centre back that we bought for a considerable amount of money in January.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both really, because we saw last season he played in quite a lot. To be fair, Rob Holding, when he was injured, he didn't really put I would have thought last season when Gabriel got injured, he would have put Tierney centre back and then put someone else left back. But no, this season I think it's a bit of both really. But we know Arteta has a lot of favourites sometimes, but not favourites. But he doesn't like to change the squad too much if someone gets injured. So I think that's a bit also a reason why he didn't really play Kivio that much this season. But I think he'll know that it's a bit too late for him to start playing games now, because I think he knows that. Even though he probably doesn't want to admit it, I think he probably knows that the title's over. So maybe that's why. Maybe he's just doing it because he knows that there's no pressure on him anymore.
Yeah. Do you mentioned the title's over? I'm just going to go back to that again for a sec before we do wrap it up. Do you think Man City drop any points in the last 4 games? Because you know what's going to happen if they drop points in one game, and that one game potentially being, let's say, Everton away next. It just, you know, lifts our hope and our belief, and the dreams start coming out again. Do you see them kind of going 4 for 4 in the last 4?
I want to say yes, just because I don't want to write us off completely. But I think if there's 2 games I'm looking at that they could drop points in, it's either the Brighton or Brentford game, because we know how hard it is to go there. And obviously, we have to remember that Brentford actually went to Man City and won. So we know that they can do it. But if I'm being honest, for example, if Man City dropped points on Sunday to Everton, it wouldn't surprise me if Arsenal then failed to beat Brighton. So I don't think they'll drop points, but yeah, you never know. Hope and pray.
Is that due to the pressure that you believe will come with Man City dropping points? Because a lot of people did say when Man City beat Leeds, you know, that kind of relieves some of the pressure off Arsenal on Sunday. Whereas if Man City had dropped points against Leeds, then there would have been a lot more pressure on Arsenal on Sunday. And you know, pressure has been very much debated over the years in terms of Arsenal and you know, the tail end of the season and big moments, big games, and not kind of living up to expectation. So do you believe that pressure has played a part in our decline come the end of the season?
I think so, yeah, because I think you look at the start of the season for the World Cup, we were just winning games easily, and there wasn't much pressure on us because Man City they weren't too far behind, but they were still quite a while behind. But then obviously, once they started to get 1-2 points behind, every time they would win, you're like, I think the players just got a bit nervous because they knew that if they just make one mistake and they lose a game, Man City would just chase up to them. So I think it's a bit of pressure as well, but I think also it's a bit of. I think sometimes maybe they just thought they were not too good, but they thought that they were better than Man City, which is obviously you really can't really afford to do that against this Man City team because as we've seen they've capitalised on our mistakes, but yeah, I do think it's a bit of stubbornness as well.
Yeah, a bit of overconfidence. That's the general gist of what you're saying there, and I get that. I put it more so to overconfidence than pressure as well, because if you're under pressure, you don't go 2-0 up at Anfield, you don't go 2-0 up against West Ham. All right, yeah. The Southampton one where we concede in the first 30 seconds, we go 3-1 down. I understand that, but then in the last 5 minutes to make it back and get away with a point, can I put that all down to pressure? I think not, in my honest opinion, but I guess some sort of arrogance and overconfidence is needed for any great team. It's just that to be a great team, you need to get over the line and win the majors, and then the overconfidence and arrogance can come with securing major titles. Junior, it's been a pleasure talking to you, my guy. I'm sure I'll talk to you again soon. Look after yourself.
I'll be watching the Big Six tonight as well.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, at least it's one.
I can see a nice Skullfugly intro for Saeed.
Well, he hasn't messaged me yet. I haven't heard nothing from him. I wouldn't be surprised if last minute he lets me know that one's been uploaded, but I just leave it to him. When he wants to do it, when he can do it, he does it. When he doesn't, I get a lot of people on my back about it, but it is what it is. It is what it is. What can we do? But I'm glad you're a supporter of the Big Six. I really appreciate that. Love, my guy.
No, it's all right, man. It's a brilliant show.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Junior, I might see you in the chat later. What's your name on YouTube? Do you go into the live chat?
Well, I'll send a super chat and then you'll just see it come up, and I'll just say that I'm from the show that I was just on now.
All right, no worries. I mean, I pay a close eye to the chat anyway, so I'm sure I'll see you there tonight, man.
All right.
Yeah, take care of yourself. Enjoy the rest of the bank holiday.
And you.
Nice one, Junior. Couple more super chats have come in before we move on to the next caller. Ricky, further on to his point earlier, his super chat earlier, he said, I meant psychologically, Arsenal should feel hurt to miss out on the title instead of happy to be the best of the rest. And in brackets, he has United second 2018 versus Liverpool second in 2019. And that's a very good point. I mean, when United finished second in 2018, Ole's at the wheel, the scarves were flying, the Glazer protests were in the back of many people's minds. Whereas when Liverpool finished second, they used that to spur them on because they believed in their own source. They believed they can win the league. They pushed and they got the job done. AMT says, for me, Kiwior played the last 2 games because there's no real pressure for the Premier League. No real pressure, AMT. I get you. I mean, there's different levels of pressure. Like I just mentioned to Junior, if City had dropped points against Leeds, there would have been increased pressure in that Newcastle game. But even with City winning against Leeds, that Newcastle game was seen by many, and when I say by many, opposition fans, as the game where it's all over completely. Even the most hopeful Arsenal fans will admit it's over if we don't get the win at Newcastle. There is some pressure in that in itself, but I agree that there has been bigger pressure moments towards the end of the season where we haven't necessarily lived up to the expectation. Abdullah says, up to Madrid to disrupt City's momentum and win at City. City's eye will be on the away leg. Maybe rest key players versus Everton. I still believe. Oof, imagine if Real get the job done against City. I haven't got high hopes for that, I'll be honest with you. I know Real Madrid's football heritage, Champions League heritage, I know they have all of that. But I just think what they did last season was nothing short of a miracle in some games. And I just don't see it happening again. I think Real Madrid can definitely win at the Bernabeu. I wouldn't bet on them winning. I'm not that confident of it. But as long as there's still all to play for come the second leg, you're right. City's eye, one eye will be, to be honest, we say one eye, probably both eyes will be on that return leg, second leg at the Etihad against Real Madrid, because that is the one dark cloud that circles over the Etihad in Pep's era mainly. Pep's mentioned that he came in to win Champions League. Listen, they've been a very successful side, and I don't think that success is tarnished without a Champions League. But when you have that squad, when you have that manager, when you see the consistency they've been showing towards the back end of this season, you wouldn't bet against them to get the job done, and I think they should get the job done. But like I said, Real, just do us a favor, leave it all to play for in that second leg. Ideally, a 2-goal lead would be perfect, because then we might see some players rested against Everton. But we'll see. Tomorrow night, that Champions League fixture is around the corner. I'm going to be definitely keeping one eye on that one, that's for sure. Have we got any more callers in production? I believe we have Sang next. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Sang?
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Am I pronouncing that right?
That's correct, yeah. Hi, yeah. Turkish.
How are you, man?
Good, man. Long-time fan, first-time caller. Calling from stateside.
Come on.
Hey, what's up, man?
Whereabouts in the States?
Stanford, Connecticut.
Okay,
so,
nice.
Yeah, close to New York. So I know Arsenal's coming to New York, so we're gonna go see them.
I'll see you there then, man.
Yeah, for sure. Unlike the previous caller, I just want to say that I think Man City is gonna drop points. I feel lucky. I feel like they are gonna drop points, and it's not beyond the realms of possibility that they won't do it. You know what I mean? Because Real Madrid's up next. I feel like Benzema, Vinicius Jr., Modric is going to hurt them. And then they're going to put all their focus on that game. And then, come Everton, Goodison Park is not an easy walk in the park.
Yeah, we know that. We know that.
Yeah, I feel, somehow, some way, they're going to drop points. And it's all a matter of us winning all our games and just, staying up with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. You can see my T-shirt, I put, I'm feeling lucky, so.
I see it. Come on.
There you go.
A little Irish feel to it. Big up the Irish. You say Man City will drop points. One game is not enough. They'd have to lose one and draw one in the last 4. When you say drop points, is that what you mean? Like you think they'll open the door for us to sneak back in?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. I feel like Everton's going to be a hard game for them because it's away, and maybe Brighton. And Brentford, obviously, they beat them before, so you never know what's going to happen in the last game. But I feel, and also Chelsea's on the bounce as well. You know what I mean? Like, they just won their game, so you never know. I know they're shit right now, but sorry for the language, but you know what I mean? Like, they could come back with a miracle win or something like that, So there's still hope. I'm feeling lucky. I feel like, we just need to win our games. We have only 3 more left, and I feel like we can do it. But deep down, I just feel like City might drop points. I know everybody's saying, they're unstoppable. Haaland is, just a monster.
Yeah.
But, you know what I mean? Like, there's something telling me, something's going to happen. So I'm just keeping my fingers crossed. I feel lucky, and I feel like, there's hope.
How important is it for how you feel that Real Madrid get something from Man City tomorrow, or don't you think that really plays much of a part?
No, that plays a huge part, man. Like, I feel like, Real Madrid needs to at least win by a good 2 or 3 goal margin, if you know what I mean. If they can do that at the Etihad, so when they go back, I guess they play at Etihad first, right? Or is
it's Madrid first tomorrow night.
Yeah, they play at Madrid. So they got home advantage right there. So if they get a good 2 or 3 goal cushion, I think the pressure's on, And then they go to Everton, and then it's just like, anything can happen. I feel like I don't know. I just feel, I know it's hard to. Everyone's saying Manchester City is going to take all the points from each and every game that they have left, but I just feel somehow they're going to slip up, man. It's just, I don't know. Maybe it's just the Arsenal fan in me that's talking, but, I just feel it.
It's the hope that kills you, Sang. I'm sure you've heard that many times.
Yeah, but, you just have to keep the hope alive. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you, Sang. Let's talk about the game yesterday against Newcastle. I mean, what was your prediction going in, honestly?
Honestly, that was... I thought a draw was on the table, but the way we played, the first 10, 15 minutes was just crazy. I'm surprised they didn't even score during that time, but they didn't put away their chances, and we did. And then after that, like, you know, after the 15-minute mark, like, we just blitzed them, you know what I mean? Like, we basically managed the game really well. I felt like, you know, the game management was on point. You know, people call it time wasting or whatever, but we were in the lead. So that's what they do, you know, if you're up, right? So yeah, for me, it was fair game, and it was just an awesome game to watch. And I feel like, my honest opinion was, like, I thought it was going to be a draw, but a win, man, that was amazing.
Yeah, and the clean sheet that came with that,
The clean sheet too, yeah.
very, very surprising, because I predicted a draw as well leading up to the game, and to come out 2-0 winners. Yeah, I mean, we're asking the questions that we need to ask of Man City. That's the position we're in. That's all we can do, and that's what we've done.
That's all we can do, man.
Was Jorginho your man of the match as well, or did you have someone else?
I had Ramsdale as my man of the match.
Okay.
Just because he made some amazing saves, you know, in the game, and, like, I mean, both keepers were amazing. I felt in the game, but yeah, I think and Jorginho was, like, second for me.
Yeah.
But he put a masterclass performance during that game as well. So yeah, big ups to Jorginho.
Do you still want to see a new number 6 come through the door in the summer?
Yeah, very much so, man. Number 6, for sure. Because I feel, I mean, Jorginho's good right now. I mean, you know, he's showing his skills and everything, but Partey is he's not reliable for the entire season. As you can tell from the past couple of games, you know, I feel like we definitely need a number 6, and we need a center back for sure.
Yeah.
I think we're good in the other departments, so to speak, but if you want to, play well in the Champions League and other cup games, and, you know, basically we need a bigger squad, and I feel like we need to start there. We need to start at number 6, and the center back position, definitely. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with those two. I'd say a 6, a right-sided centre back or right back that allows us to move Tomiyasu or Ben White to centre back if Saliba does get injured or if he needs a rest. A striker, a different type of striker, and some competition for Saka. So I think 5 players is a necessity this summer, but, you know, the summer's still a few weeks away. There's still a lot to play for. If Man City open the door for us, there'll be a lot more to play for. We'll see. Kiwior, last but not least, Kiwior, what did you make of him, his last couple of games? Should he have come in earlier? Is that hindsight?
Yeah, Kiwior. I think, I mean, hindsight's a beautiful thing, but Holding, I feel like Arteta made the right choice, you know, playing Holding, you know, when Saliba was out. I felt that was a good choice to make, because of his experience and that how long he's been with the club, and he knows the ins and outs.
Sorry, Sang. Sorry, just to cut you there. Do you say it was a good choice and then mention experience? Could that be seen as the safe choice rather than a good choice?
Yeah, thing is that, you don't want to be tinkering, with the team too much, in the sense that, because Saliba was out, and that Rob Holding wasn't the part of the first team since the beginning of this, well, for so many years, but most of the season this year, and Kiwior came in January, right? In January window.
Yeah.
So still needed time to adjust. I think he played a game or maybe half a game before he started, like this past couple games.
Yeah.
So I felt that's what kind of made him pick Rob Holding, you know what I mean? And I think that was a good choice. But again, in hindsight, I mean, Kiwior has been great, like the past 2 games, you know what I mean? So I feel like if he would have played Kiwior, he probably would have gotten away with more points, in the past, the ones we drew for the past 3 ones. So,
yeah.
But no, man, I mean, Arteta made his choice. I thought it was good. It was a good choice to make at the end of the day. You never know these things, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we had to find out the hard way, Sang. We had to find out the hard way. Listen, Sang, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm sure we'll link up in New York, AFTV, FANZONE, every Monday. Yeah, tune in again. This is your first time calling. Don't hesitate to call back if you get some time.
Yeah. Peace out, bro.
Yeah, take care, my bro. Couple more super chats have come in. 40 says, belief is gone and honesty have some frustrations. What if we played Kiwior sooner? What if Deeney got some starts in the running? Still a good season overall, he says. And those are some of the questions that I have myself. We can't turn back the hands of time. Hindsight is a wonderful thing. But at the same time, we was also, well, I say we, I know me and 40 were calling for it at the time as well. But the best we can hope for now is the learning curve that Arteta needed heading into next season, and hopefully another title challenge. AMT says, according to DR Sports, Newcastle time wasting is the highest. Listen, I wouldn't be surprised if it is the highest, but I'm also not one that moans too much about time wasting or teams being over physical or referees and VAR. I tend not to moan too much because it's a problem for the majority of clubs across the board. And with the time wasting thing, I think it's part and parcel of football. You know, you're going to play against teams that want to shut up shop and take a point, especially away from home. You know, if a team takes a lead against the run of play, they're going to time waste. It's just part and part. Time wasting has never changed from the 90s to 2000s to what we see now in modern football. It's just always been there. It will always be there. And I like that Arsenal did a bit of that themselves, because I think you need a bit of that. I think you need a bit of that, especially becoming a great club and getting over the line in majors. You need to have that game management where if you need to take the life out of the game, you do that. I mean, probably the best club team I've ever seen is probably the Barcelona team, and we all know what Barcelona team we're talking about because Arsenal played them a fair few times. But that Barcelona team, they had tactics of their own. They'd go down very easy, they'd win, you know, free kicks very easily, they'd surround the referee, they'd do all of that, and that's the greatest club team I've ever seen. So if they can do it, then who are we to turn our nose up at it at Arsenal? I just think it's part of football. I think we have Harvey in next, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Harv. How are you, my guy?
Hey, Turkish. Very well, man. And yourself? How's everything?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. Hey, Harv, tell me, am I saying your name right? Harv, or is it?
Yeah, so to the English ear, it sounds like Harvey, because you guys don't really pronounce your R's, but it's Javi, short for Javier.
Okay.
So that's why I say Javi, but it sounds to you guys like Harvey. So that's what it is.
So it's more Javi than Harvey.
Correct. Yeah, that's just the anglicized. Like,
Javi, man. Man knows how to say Javi, man. Listen.
There you go.
When I saw your Twitter account, I thought, nah, am I saying this the right way? I can't be.
Yeah, it's fine. It happens. It's all good.
Come on, Javi. All right, say no more. Let's start with the game yesterday. I mean, you think along the same lines as I think, so I would assume that going into that game, you didn't have 3 points on the cards.
Actually, I predicted a 2-0 win in the Twitter space with James.
Oh, yeah.
I thought pressure's off. Yeah, I was like, pressure's off. In a typical Arsenal fashion, we're going to go ahead and actually win the game that we weren't supposed to and drop points in the ones that we had to win. So I was like, it's just like Arsenal to go ahead and win and then give everybody hope just to let us down.
So do you think Man City dropping points against Leeds would have meant a different result?
Actually, yeah, I do. I think that when the pressure is off, we perform. And I think that also, like, leading up to that City game, they took their eye off the ball. I think they were already, a couple of fixtures ahead instead of seeing the job done. And I think that's why we dropped points against West Ham and Liverpool, respectively. After 2-0, they're like, job done. And that's where I think we got, we shot ourselves in the foot.
Yeah, so. Yeah. Jorginho, he got man of the match over here. I was doing the watch along and he got man of the match from the panel as well, the majority. Having come in under somewhat a cloud. I mean, at the time, I just thought, typical Arsenal, we get Casado, 70 million, touted, teased, and then we go and get Jorginho for 10. But he has stepped up when called upon, and I think he probably had his best game in an Arsenal shirt yesterday at St. James Park.
Yeah, I mean, when we didn't get Caicedo over the line, in comparison, it definitely was a bit underwhelming. But at the end of the day, I actually looked at it, I was like, you know what? It's pretty sensible because I knew that he wasn't perhaps going to be the physical presence that Partey, has. Even though Partey, for whatever reason, he doesn't like to actually, instill his physical presence onto the game. But one thing I knew Jorginho was going to do exceptionally well was help transition us from defense into attack, because that is one defining quality in which I think he is, head and shoulders above many people in that position. So I thought, for home games especially, he's going to be essential. And I'm not Partey's biggest fan, Turkish, I'll be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's incredibly overrated in this fan base. His competition, or like the point of reference at our club for the last couple of years, it's been Torreira, who cried all the time because the weather was bad in England and he couldn't eat chimichurri with a steak. Mohamed Elneny, which our fan base dubbed Mohamed El Sideways, and then Sambi Lakonga, who didn't really pull up any trees. So in comparison to those guys, of course, you're going to be a Rolls Royce, but really you're a Chrysler 300. And whenever Jorginho has stepped in his place, have we really missed him? And you can't say the same for
Man City Emirates. I would have said yes, but
and you know what? And that was like the final nail in the coffin for me, because he missed out due to a tight hamstring. Like, come on, man! It's the biggest game that perhaps this club has seen in the league, and maybe 19 years, an opportunity for us to go. What was it, like 10 points clear, something crazy like that, and you miss out at home because of a tight hamstring. Meanwhile, last year when we were pushing for a Champions League title fight, Tierney had a knee about the size of my freaking head, and he kept on playing until eventually it blew out coming out of the shower. So that just goes like the difference. Like I don't know, man. I get you're a professional, but that's a title deciding game, and you're missing out because of a tight hamstring.
So do I ask you whether you want to see another 6 come through the door in the summer, or is that a given considering your concerns about Partey? And
he's done. Sell him for multiple reasons. Like, one, he doesn't have one exceptional quality. When I look at, for example, and I think you'd probably agree with me on this, the best center defensive midfielder I think that we've seen in a very long time has been Sergio Busquets, because he is just so phenomenal. He is so press resistant that you just can't take the ball off of him. And Partey doesn't have that press resistance incredible quality. He doesn't have this incredible passing range either. He doesn't exert himself physically. He does those things well, but what happens is that when he's slightly off it, then he's very off it. While as someone like Jorginho, even if he's not putting himself about physically, he is so phenomenal at setting the pace of the game and being able to be press resistant that he always has that defining quality shining through. And not only that, Partey's age, his injury record, sell him 25, 30 million and reinvest back into the side. To me, that's the smartest thing to do.
To be honest, I haven't entertained selling him. I do want another number 6 at the club to be his successor, that's for sure. But when I say successor, not someone that comes in and bides his time for 2 years, someone that comes in and challenges straight away to wrestle that position off him. Partey, overall, since he's come into Arsenal Football Club, I think this season we've seen the best of him when I compare his time at Atletico to his time at Arsenal. But we can't rely on him, and that's become somewhat of a concerning situation regarding him. I mean, same with Tierney, and I love Kieran Tierney, but the last couple seasons, big injuries at the end of the season, us having to change it up against Villarreal, against Newcastle away last season, and so on. What do they say? Availability is the best ability, and those are a couple players that haven't been available at the times we've needed them most. What about Kivior? Is it us talking in hindsight about Kivior should have started in place of Holden against West Ham, Southampton, and so on, or did Arteta do the right thing, playing it somewhat safe and going with the man that's been at the club however long he's been at the club in Rob Holding?
So I wasn't calling for Kivior, I'll be honest with you, but I wasn't calling for Holding either. I wanted it to be, Ben White at right back, Gabriel occupying that central position in the build-up, and Tierney being that left-sided center back. For the people in the chat who always like to come after me, when I say 3 at the back, I'm not saying we're playing like Thomas Tuchel. I mean 3 at the back when we're building up the play. I wanted Tierney on that left-hand side rather than what Gabriel is doing. So that's all, because Kivior didn't see much of him, lack of experience, but I knew what I could get out of Tierney. So I wanted Tierney to come into the side rather than Holding. So it's good to see that Arteta finally switched it up. Took him a bit longer than I think he needed to, but at least he's learning from it. And I think hopefully that opens a door for Holding to finally leave the club, and we can thank him for his performances in big FA Cup games, but I think it's time to move on, because I don't think he's the quality that we need to push on all fronts if we want to go both European and domestic.
I completely agree with that. And to be honest, I was going to round up with the question: do you still believe? But Javi, I think I know the answer to that. But we'll give it to them.
Well, listen, for the first time in the last couple of weeks, I'm actually going to be looking at the City game for results. So I think that's a good thing. Whether or not I think I have that belief, I don't know. I think if they drop points against Everton or Brighton, that final game of the season is going to be an interesting one.
Yeah.
But one final thing, man, something that I think you have been spot on over the last couple of years is that this club has always been very terrible at selling, and we've always let good assets leave on free. And when I look at players like Partey or like Xhaka, I see that as players that we can actually sell and get money from. Because when was the last time, apart from Joe Willock, when was the last time we actually sold a player for decent money? So as much as Partey can give us something, it's just like, we need to have a revolving door policy. And if we're going to go out and get a Rice or a Zubimendi or whatever it may be, just to then move on from Partey 2 years later, 3 years later for 5 million or virtually nothing at all, we're going to have financial fair play knocking on us very soon. And then, you have issues with, there's enough money and this and that. So I just think we need to try to be a bit more ruthless on the transfer market and just make sure that, all right, you reach this particular age, let's get as much as we can from you and we go again. And that's the only thing that I have with those kind of players, as much as I think they have a part to play. You got to be a bit more ruthless and recognize that maybe this cycle of going back into Champions League football represents a new beginning. So let's get fresh blood and reinvest where we can and keep the next 3 to 5 years of prime players who can take us on to that next step. So.
Yeah. Selling has been a major issue, in my opinion, as well as they've done in the incoming department. When you see the renewed connection between us fans and the players we see out there in comparison to 2 years ago, big credit for the incomings, big credit for the transfers coming in, but the transfers going out, we need to see an improvement this summer ideally, because yes, Champions League money is here, but it's always nice to top it up with a few player sales as well, and rounding off that figure nicely. Javi.
And listen, Elneny and Holding, those are the easy ones. But look at Man City. They got 100 points with a starting lineup of Aguero, Leroy Sané, and Sterling. And then they sold those guys for good money, and now they have Grealish, Haaland, and Riyad Mahrez. And granted, they dropped big money on those players. I don't think they needed to. But it just goes to show that you don't have to hold on too much. And Liverpool's a perfect example of that when you don't recognize cycles coming to an end and saying, all right, we got to sell on now, they kind of become dead weight. Mm-hmm. So the when they should have made the movements last year, they should have recognized, we were this close to getting a quadruple. We missed out on almost all the major trophies. To have all these guys reset and go again is very hard psychologically. That's when they needed to say, all right, let's sell some of these guys, get as much money as we can, and reinvest back into the side. And I don't want Arsenal to fall to that trap because of sentimental reasons. We need to be ruthless.
Yeah, 100%. Every great club is ruthless. Every big club is ruthless. So I completely agree with you there, Javi. Listen, it's a pleasure as always talking to you as well, my guy. Same time next week.
For sure, bro. And how's your boy doing? You have a little boy, right?
Yeah, man. He's so good, man. He's growing up fast, man. I mean, I've just seen some videos of him at soft play with his mum, and yeah, man. I wish I was there right now. No offense to you and everyone that I'm talking to, but I just see him enjoying himself and think, I should be there with him. But yeah, he's growing well, man. Love for the love, Javi, man.
Take care, man.
Yeah, take care. One super chat is coming from Ikenna. We've got about 2-3 callers left. Ikenna says, you're always going to have freak results in a season, bracket West Ham, Southampton, etc. What won City this league is the fact that they beat us twice. Yeah, I mean, some people will look back at City beating us twice. Some people will look back at the Everton game, the Brentford VAR decision, and some of us will look back at the West Ham and Southampton results. I mean, there's a few moments this season that we can look back on if we don't manage to do it, which seems to be the likely scenario. But all in, if we don't do it, then fully focused for the summer and the next season ahead. Second is not success. So as much as I've enjoyed this season, first season I've enjoyed for a little while, finishing second will just increase the hunger and motivation to kick on and finish first next year. Who do we have next, production? Aaron coming in next. You good, Aaron?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. How are you?
All good, man. Can't complain. Yeah, aside from being second in the league, but yeah, can't complain much, man. How are you?
Yeah, man. All good. Just wanted to big you up first. Always watch your fan zones in the Big Six. So yeah,
man. We really appreciate the support, man. It's mad how much the Big Six has kicked on in the last couple of years. So I really appreciate that, my guy. How you feeling about Arsenal, man? Big win against Newcastle. For me, it's a surprising win. Did it surprise you, or is that something you expected?
It wasn't a surprise. Like, I thought we could go there and win for sure. But before the game, I was thinking, nah. I thought of last year, and I was like, will it happen again? But you look at it, we've had some away games this year. Tottenham away after happened last year, went there and won. So Newcastle's just another one, and it just shows kind of the mentality's changed in the team this year. And yeah, that's down to a few players. I think Jorginho coming in yesterday. The Chelsea game he came in, did well, but I think yesterday he led from minute one.
Best performance in an Arsenal shirt, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we haven't missed Partey the last 2 games, so that's the big thing. And obviously Partey's kind of dropped off before the Chelsea game anyway. But yeah, Jorginho, he was really good yesterday. So I think he's the main guy we need to big up from yesterday's game.
Was he your man of the match, yeah?
Yeah, 100%. he ran the show in midfield.
Yeah, cool, calm, composed. I mean, he was one of the leaders on that pitch. You could kind of see it when it was time to kind of calm things down. He would be there. Odegaard did it too. Give credit to Odegaard. Odegaard's been doing that throughout the season, to be honest. But one thing you mentioned that, you know, Partey not being there and us still being happy with the team. This is the first time since Partey's been at the club that we can see a fully functioning team without him.
Well, it is, when Jorginho joined in January, I was like, okay, we've not got Caicedo, but at least it's a body. So there's someone there if Partey's not playing. And Jorginho is adequate depth to play against, you know, teams in the Premier League. But the one thing I was always thinking when he came in, he might get overrun in the midfield. Yesterday, there was none of that. And Newcastle's midfield, the likes of Willock, Joe Linton, Guimaraes, you know, they can run a game in midfield against any team. We saw them do it to Tottenham and Man United a few weeks ago.
Athletic, strong. They've got a quality midfield.
Exactly. So he's really done well, I can't lie. And I think he stays in the team for the rest of the season as well, to be fair to him. So
yeah. So do you think that change came about due to Partey's poor performances, or do you think Partey's carrying some sort of an injury? Because it's been rumoured that he is. I've seen moments, especially against City, where I've looked at him and said, there's something wrong with him.
Yeah, you know what? The City game, was it the third goal?
Yeah.
I think he just stopped running, or he just running really slowly. And from then, I was like, it's not the same Partey. Like, we've seen this Partey before. That reminded me of, do you remember at Tottenham when he just walked off the pitch?
Yeah.
When he was injured. That's what that kind of reminded me of. So I think probably there was a bit of an injury. I don't think it was purely Arteta bringing him in because Partey was playing bad. I think it kind of was due to the injury.
Because you know what? It just came to my mind now. Wasn't it Partey against United that there was a moment at the Emirates when Anthony was pretty much through on goal? He took a poor first touch and Partey just came out of nowhere, and it was Partey, wasn't it? Yeah.
I was sitting in the clock end that day. That was right in front of me.
Yeah.
And everyone around us was like, "There's no way Partey's just made that sprint."
Yeah.
We ain't seen him run like that, and we ain't seen him run like that since then.
Yeah.
So, no, we don't know. That might have just been a one-time thing.
So it's the reliability that's an issue with Partey. So it's a bit of the same old. What about Kiwior, man? I mean, Kiwior's kind of come in the last couple of games. He's stepped up.
I think this one is credit to Arteta, but it's also not credit to Arteta for bringing him in after Holden made these, not errors, but we could see it wasn't working with Holden in there. So to bring in Kiwior after that, fair enough. Well done. That's a good decision, but you should have done it earlier, if we're being real. I think when he first came in, Leeds, Palace, you know, we got 4-1 wins, but even in those games, we were conceding silly goals. And our build-up play, it wasn't the same. The Liverpool game for me is where I thought, okay, we got West Ham away next. Let's bring in Kiwior. It's a game where he can get in his first, you know, Premier League start, and it won't be as bad. Because if we need to bring him in later against the Chelsea and Newcastle, I thought he might not be able to do it.
Yeah.
And we stuck with Holden that game. And again, those 3 points, not all dropped because of Holden, but it's an element. And I really thought he'd make the change against Southampton. And that for me was where I kind of it just shows Arteta's error in that sense. But I think the last couple of weeks, he's brought in Kiwior, and Kiwior's done well. I think against Chelsea, it was a good 7 out of 10 normal defender's performance. Yesterday, I mean, I thought to keep a clean sheet away Newcastle is unreal. And thanks to Ramsdale for quite a lot of saves, but I thought Kiwior and Gabriel both yesterday were really good.
Yeah,
and I think the change of bringing on Deeney for Zinchenko just kind of helped it as well.
Yeah, we looked a lot more assured when Deeney was there defensively, that's for sure. And big up Granit Xhaka for that tackle on Joe Willock as well in the box, because that was a massive moment. You mentioned Arteta error, so I just want to ask you before we wrap up, Aaron. You know, some fans will look at that and say, you know, that's the sort of error why he shouldn't be manager, and we don't believe him. And some fans will say, listen, it is an error, but that's an error he needs to learn from, because he's not as experienced as would all have liked him to be. Kind of comes part and parcel with the type of manager he is, having come in and only being assistant at Manchester City. I mean, how do you look at that error? One that he needs to learn off, or one that makes you doubt that he is the man?
I think he is the man, and he's shown that this season, but it is about learning on the job, because we kind of knew that from the start. He's going to be learning on the job. Maybe now 3 years in, you should have really learned from these lessons.
Yeah.
I think the one lesson he did learn was the Tierney sub. I mean, at Anfield, Tierney should have come on well before he should have. And even then, he was coming on, and that's when the goal got conceded. And even then, we're in our heads, he should have done it earlier anyway. So I think he's learning from a few mistakes, but for me, there's no doubt he's the right man, but there's certainly a few things that obviously we know he's going to fix. For me, the next thing is Champions League. That's what I want to see, where he makes, those decisions in Champions League games, because that's not a situation where you can be making errors. He's made an error in the title race. That's it. Next year, you got to learn from this now. So I don't want to kind of see any of this again next year, because then that will doubt me.
Yeah, and I think we'd all love the trophy next year. So it's been a little wait for one, and now we've just challenged for one of the big ones. I think next season the bar's been raised and it needs to stay there. Now, listen, Aaron, it's been a pleasure talking to you. You mentioned you go to games, so I might see you back. But I'm here every Monday 5 p.m. So if you get some time, then log in again.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
I'll see you there on Big Six as well.
Come on, man. Love for the support and take care. Enjoy the rest of your bank holiday, man.
You too, man.
Yeah. Super chat here from Anajit. It says, whenever Saliba or Gabriel misses, Jorginho and Kieran Tierney should have played. A quality centre-back and a physical attacking option along with 2 midfielders is required. So that's 4 players this summer. And your point on Saliba and Gabriel missing, Jorginho and Tierney having come in. I get it. I mean, when I look at Kivior's performances now, I think the one that stands out most is what would have happened if Kivior started the games that Holden started when we started dropping points. But Aaron just made a good point as well. When Tierney did come on at the time he came on yesterday against Newcastle, I even said it, I think, to Laurie, he seems like he's learning, Mikel, because we all wanted to see Tierney this early against Liverpool and against other teams as well. So that's all we can ask for right now, him to learn his lessons. I mean, he's the one that's helped raise the bar. So he's also the one that I think we need to give a chance to keep that bar raised and hopefully raise it even further. Production, who we got next? Arjun, I believe, is in the building.
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Arjun, am I saying that right?
Yeah. Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you too. How are you, man?
Yeah, good, thanks. I'm also in the States, actually. It's been quite a few Americans today. So yeah. It's, nice to be on. I've been on once with Laurie before, so yeah, I thought it was really nice. And
what do you mean you're in the States right now? As in you're on holiday,
so I'm from England, but I live in Florida now. So yeah, I moved here a couple of years ago for uni. So yeah.
Florida, nice, man.
Yeah. I remember the game last year against Chelsea. I was meant to go, but I had like a huge exam like just a couple of days after, so it was pain. But yeah,
I hear you.
Yeah, no, I was. Yeah.
Are you going to this year's preseason or?
Hopefully, I saw that United game in New York, I think, and well, we'll see if I can. I'm hoping to be out there. If I do, then I'll definitely see you all.
Yeah.
Hopefully, so. Yeah.
So how you feeling? What was you about to say about Arsenal?
So I don't know. I agree with a lot of people say, but like I also disagree with quite some of it. Like I feel like a lot of people are disrespecting Partey too much. Like everyone, just because he had a couple bad games, and I do think it's because of injury. I think that people are just kind of forgetting that he's been the crux of our midfield for the last year and a half when he has been healthy, and we know that he has injury problems, but to be disrespecting him, I feel like it's not fair. And for people to just say, oh yeah, Jorginho the whole way out now, like yeah, he's played well recently. I also think even though his passing range may be better than Partey's, I think that he also maybe lacks in the speed that the way Partey could turn on the ball.
100%, yeah.
Especially the way that Partey used to be able to turn on the ball was just I thought it was amazing. Like you would always think there's 2 people coming at him, and then he would just turn the ball and do a body feint or something. And I thought he was immense at that. And there were a couple games where Jorginho was starting where I felt like he was slower on turning on the ball. If he has a direct line of space ahead, then yeah, his passing, he'll unlock some really great passes and all of that. But I think that the Partey disrespect has still been a little too much from some Arsenal fans.
So would you add the necessary competition for Thomas Partey this summer, or are you saying that you're happy with our options right now?
I would definitely add someone like a Declan Rice or a Moises Caicedo, but I also wouldn't get rid of him, because if we get rid of him and then we just get maybe we get Declan Rice, then what if Declan Rice gets injured? Who's our second? Is it going to be El Neni? Like, if we want to be challenging, then maybe we could drop Partey, but Partey could be our second player, and whether we lose out on 10 million or whatever from being able to, maybe we could sell him this year for 25, but the next year it could be for 15. Like, honestly, who cares? Like, now that we're fighting for, top 4 places and hopefully the Premier League, we'll have so much more prize money anyways, and the Cronkies, I think, will be willing to spend way more money. And now that they've seen what Arteta can do, I don't think we have to just worry about selling players as much. And if we had much more options, I would say maybe we could sell Partey, but I wouldn't want to sell him. I would rather just keep him as our second option, because that's like an elite, that would be an amazing, if we had Partey as our second option, I think that would be immense.
So would you then keep Jorginho as the third option, or would you seek to move on from him this summer?
I would maybe keep Jorginho, but maybe he could even cover it in the Xhaka position, because Xhaka's position isn't as defensive. He's been amazing defensively. He had a really good tackle as well. I don't remember who had the ball, but
Joe Willock,
Joe Willock, yeah. So maybe he could be a cover for him. I would definitely keep him. Maybe we can move El Neni on down the line. The contract thing was, maybe El Neni is someone I would sell, if anything, not like a Partey. I would think it would be better to keep him, but I would love to get I don't know if we need 2 midfielders in the summer, but at least one, on a Caicedo, Declan Rice, that kind of level. And even a lot of people were saying, Declan Rice, a lot of people saying he's overrated, the English bias, but when he was playing in that Arsenal game, the recent one, he played really well. He's been playing well for West Ham recently. So even for England, he had a couple really good games. So
yeah, I think, listen, all English players are overrated in England, because that's just something I've become used to. But if you ask me, would Declan Rice bring something to the club? I 100% think he would.
Of course.
And listen, I've been someone that tells fans not to worry about price. It's not necessarily our money. But at the same time, you don't want to be taken to the cleaners for a player that isn't bringing in a certain level of quality. So I think there is a limit to how much that I'd want the club to spend on Declan, because I think there is options in Europe that can be just as beneficial. But at the same time, as I mentioned with Mudryk in January, if this is the man Arteta wants, I think Arteta's done enough now to prove that we can trust him. Just bring in who he wants rather than go for plan Bs all the time.
Yeah, and that's why also I respect the hierarchy of Arsenal more than a Manchester United, because they've always been a club to sign the biggest names, whereas Arsenal have been the team who will buy the slightly less known players, or even the Odegaard, who people will say it was a Real Madrid failure, but it's not that he was a failure. It's just they had the Kroos, the Modric, all those amazing players. So
yeah,
I think the club has just done really well in the last couple of years, and I agree. There's so many other options that may not be as well known, but that's just because they're not in the mainstream or they're not in the as big league. So I'm really hoping that I'm sure that the club will do amazing this summer to bring a lot of people in, and I still have hope with the league, honestly.
Yeah, that was my next question. Do you believe?
Yeah, so they have this Real Madrid game, City, and I'm really hoping that I hope they don't batter Real Madrid, but I'm also hoping they don't get battered. I want it to be really close. Maybe they lose 2-1, they lose 3-1 or 3-2, so that they still have hope to win in that second leg. Because I want it to be I want them to then have that pressure. Then that Everton game would add so much more pressure, in my opinion, because then Pep will be well, do I start De Bruyne? Do I start Alvarez in the 10? What do I really do? So if he wants to rest De Bruyne a little bit. So I think that will be really interesting to see. So yeah, definitely a huge Real Madrid fan tomorrow.
Yeah, come on. But like you said, I want it to be close, so it's all to play for in that second leg.
Exactly, yeah. So but what do you think? Do you have hope? Do
I have hope? That's a very good question. I believe we threw it away against West Ham and Southampton. I honestly can't see City dropping points in 2 out of the last 4 games, and it's not only dropping points, it's losing 1, drawing 1 in 2 out of the last 4 games. Can it happen? Yes, but if you ask me, will it happen? I'm gonna have to unfortunately say no, because I just think that Southampton and West Ham back-to-back 4 points dropped. You know, some people might add Anfield into that, and I get why you'd add Anfield into that. I park it off because I think a point at Anfield, considering all the circumstances, was a decent result, especially the way we got peppered in that second half. But the West Ham and Southampton game are unforgivable for me, and yeah, it's probably the games I'll look back on come the end of the season, if Man City do win it, that I'll say that's where we lost it.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was that 3-3, you know, the hope in the last 8 minutes or whatever, the 90 plus 8.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I almost went into cardiac arrest. I was like, you gotta be careful, but there was a lot of hope. But yeah, I think those couple games probably killed it. I could see City maybe dropping points in 1 game, but I can't see it happening in 2. But obviously, I'm going to keep hoping, and I think if the fans just becomes negative, and at this point, then like there's no point in the whole season even happening. I think you just got to push on, you know, try and support the players from a distance, or do whatever they can, or the fans in England who go to the stadiums, just really try and push on and do everything they can. And yeah, we just got to hope that City just become terrible out of nowhere. So
we just gotta hope that they bottle it. Basically, that's what we got.
Let's hope they're the bottle jobs now.
Yeah,
they can join Tottenham.
Imagine that end to the season. That would be beautiful. Listen, Arjun, it's been a pleasure talking to you, my guy.
Appreciate you having me on. Make
sure you come in again next time we go live for FANZONE. I'm here every Monday 5 p.m. anyway. Robbie's every Friday 5 p.m. and we do FANZONE after every game as well. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah, right, take care of yourself, man. Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Have a good one.
Nice one.
Yeah, you too.
Nice one. Last caller coming in, but before that, we've got one super chat from 40 saying, Turkish, does some players need competition for places? Martinelli is probably the only one that really had to fight with someone of equal skill level, and look how it's improved his game. 100% 40. I mean, it's not the first time I'll say it, won't be the last time leading up to this summer, but competition can make players better, without a shadow of a doubt. I wanted us to bring someone in on the right-hand side last year because I wanted some competition for Saka, and also an option that when Saka needs to be rested, we're comfortable with who comes in for him. And likewise up top too, I think we need a different type of option that can challenge Jesus and the role he brings, coming in with a different type of role up front. So you are right, competition should be deemed motivation. And if you're a player that has any ambition and dreams to do well, then competition is not something that you should be afraid of or be weary of. I think competition should make you thrive, and Martinelli is a good example of that. He got rested or dropped, whatever word people want to use, against Aston Villa, I want to say, and he come off the bench and got a goal, and he hasn't looked back since. He's currently our joint top scorer now that Odegaard scored 3 in the last 2, and he's had a very good season. So completely agree. Competition is necessary for every great team. Last caller, production, who we got? Elliot, come on. What are you saying, Elliot, man? How you?
I'm well, sir, Turkish. How are you?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right, Can't complain, my bro.
Well, especially after yesterday's result. Yesterday was, unexpected, yet welcome. To be fair, yes, indeed.
100% unexpected, but welcome. That's a good way to put it.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So let's talk about team building.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say? I mean, what are your feelings on Partey and Xhaka at the moment?
What are my feelings on Partey and Xhaka? In what sense? As in, are we talking about this summer? Or are we talking about this season?
Like going forward, do you think they should still be a part of the side?
Yes.
Well, I am in agreement because here's the thing, and I hark back to Javi's disagreement. Javi, I respect his opinion greatly. I think he's one of the better tactical brains within the Arsenal diaspora, and I totally take on what he has with great thought and admiration.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. Do we want to spend £200 million or £300 million? because to replace the likes of Partey and Xhaka this winter, because that means we're gonna have to bring in about, I would say, 3 or 4 midfielders really, and that is an outlay I know that the Cronkies will not part with this year. 200 million, yeah, I could see that. 300 to 400, 300 to 400, 300 to 350 million, because that's what it's going to take to replace the likes of Partey and Xhaka in this lineup.
So when you say
their experience, to replace their tactical nous, and to replace their abilities, quite simply. But go on with your question.
No, so when you asked the initial question about do they remain part of the side, I said yes. The reason I say yes by side, I guess you meant squad rather than the starting 11. I do think we need to bring in the 2 midfielders that are ready, capable to start games, to challenge, to displace Partey, to displace Granit Xhaka, because as the last super chat just mentioned from 40, competition is a necessity.
Right, absolutely, and what would you want more? I mean, what would you want more than to bring in the likes of Partey and Xhaka off the bench, especially when your side needs results, or the side needs to win, or your side needs to be pushed forward in a certain. I mean, those guys are experienced plus, and we can't do without those sort of sides. That'll buffer our side to. We have, like, I would say, 12 to 13, serviceable players that Arteta trusts, to a 15, bordering 16 on players, depending on how we do this summer, and that is integral, especially to the race against a machine like Man City. So, I mean, we need to keep that in mind going forward. That yes, Partey his skill set may be dwindling, and so with Xhaka, but the fact of the matter is they have experience that is unparalleled, and that we'll need, especially with these young players coming in, the likes of Rice and Caicedo, God willing, that they do come in.
Yeah. Listen, I think Rice and Caicedo, if they're there to be the 2 that comes in, I'll be over the moon with that, because I think that those are 2 players that could not only be the future of Arsenal, they can be the now of Arsenal too. And when you mention Partey and Xhaka coming off the bench, it's not only coming off the bench, it's starting that FA Cup game where you want to rest a few people because you got a big league game coming up, and or a League Cup game, or a Champions League group game where you could do with some rotation. Partey and Xhaka coming in my opinion, would be a very, very strong backup cast, or however you want to see it.
What makes a huge squad, right? Let's say you keep Jorginho. To have Jorginho, Xhaka, and Partey on the bench is, come on, guys. There's not many teams in Europe, if anyone in Europe, doing that. They're not, and that takes our 12 to they're a part of the 12. You add Caicedo and Rice to a 15 in terms of talent, and that is unparalleled with most of the teams in Europe. And I want to buffer this squad. I want to get another striker in. I want to make this team so that when we face the likes of Man City next year, they know it's on. They know that, oh shoot, they have the same sort of depth that we do, guys. This is gonna be a fight. This is gonna be one hell of a fight. Bringing in a defender for Xhaka, I think Kivior has been excellent. Quite simply excellent, since makes us quite wistful at the fact that where was he at West Ham and Southampton? But these are the breaks, and this is hindsight. So we are where we are. But at the end of the day, that's the sort of side I want. I want to see a strong 18. That's what Man City have. They can pull. They can pull. Full internationals off their bench, and substitute them into the side, and without any drop off. That's what I want to see with this team here. That's what I want to see in this side, and it is hoped that Arteta gets it right and not bring in just one midfielder but 2. One is a mistake. Quite simply a mistake, and especially when we're shopping at Harrods, we're shopping at Harvey Nicks, and we're shopping at Selfridges. Now. Okay, let's not kid ourselves. We have the black card. It's up to us if we want to spend it. And it is hoped that this team will do the right thing and bring in those, 4 or 5 players that we definitely need. We need that right back. We need that replacement center back. We need that forward. I don't know about right winger. I think Reece Nelson can stay if he wants, but if he wants to go, let him go. We bring in another player and get something in return for him, for his value, and we move forward. So 5 or 6, that's what we need.
Yeah,
we need 5 or 6 players, guys. We need a we need a £200 million window. That cannot be understated. And once we have that, then we can move forward. I'm just wondering about your thoughts. Are you similar in terms of your?
Yeah, I mean,
in terms of your.
I mentioned it earlier. I said, 2 midfielders, a right centre back or a right back, whichever one Arteta prefers, a different type of striker, and competition for Saka. And I know you mentioned Reece Nelson, and listen, Reece, every time he's come on, I think he's added something to the games this season. But I also look at the lack of, I don't know what you'd call it, but it doesn't seem like Arteta likes taking off Saka, and I guess Reece must be looking at that as well. And I look at that and think, is it because Arteta doesn't trust Reece enough that he hasn't, rotated that side as much as he potentially could have? Or is it because of Reece's contract situation? I'm not too sure what that directly comes to, because I think there's been games where Reece could have got 30, 40 minutes. Instead, he gets 5-10 minutes because of the lack of proactivity in taking Saka off.
I think it's come down to a lack of trust. Arteta.
Yeah.
Arteta wants to fully trust his players. That's the reason why Kiwior didn't come in against Southampton West Ham. He didn't trust him.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't trust him. And all of a sudden, Holding lays a few clangers, and he said, okay, I can't depend on this guy anymore. You're in.
Yeah.
Earn my trust. And he did. And now he's in the squad. So same thing with Reece Nelson. He's come in cameos, and he's earning his trust there. And, it is, it's because we're in a title race that Reece Nelson can't get in the squad as he should. I think Saka needs time off. I think he needs a rest. I think that last match against Newcastle, he wasn't at his best. He hasn't been his best in his last 3 or 4 matches. He needs time off. He needs time off, quite simply. But does he trust anybody to fill that position? No. And if things continue down this vein, I don't think he's going to re-sign Reece Nelson. Quite simply, he just won't do it. I think he'll sign someone new. I think these Diaby rumors are quite serious. I think he's thinking about that. He's weighing that up. And will that be our only forward? Hopefully not, because I don't want to see Nketiah / Balogun or Jesus be our starting line next year. That'll be a mistake. We're going to be found out, especially in Champions League. We're going to be found out. Yeah. We will be found out, and we need a number 9 who can. Who's a goal poacher who can slot the ball away. Quite simply, this is not time for games, guys. We're in the mouths of most of the players in Europe. We are the fresh, new, young, sexy things, and we need to capitalize on that. Mm-hmm. We need to capitalize, and you only get a certain window in order to do it. And now is the time, because they see, they took on Man City and nearly beat them. Okay, well, I think I'm the guy to take it over the top. Be it a Leao, be it a Tony, be it be it a Hoagland, be it one of these strikers who can come in and literally set us on the right track. Add another 15 goals to the side. Guess where we'll be? We'll be champions. That's where we'll be.
Yeah. No resting on our laurels no more. I'm completely with you, Nice. It's time to use the great work that Arteta's done over the last 18 months and use that to our benefit, because things can change awfully quickly. A couple of years ago, players were probably looking at Chelsea thinking, listen, Champions League winners, young side, that's probably the next place they see themselves at. Now, if you look at Chelsea, if it's not for the money, then I don't really see players going there for their own personal development. So
exactly. Yeah. Declan Rice is not going to Chelsea. It's as simple as that. Chelsea. We've got Bowley. He's going to give us up. No, you guys are in a terrible spot right now. You don't have a manager with any sort of set system. No, it's not happening. Just stop it. He's going to come. No, you want to stay in London, so Man United, you can stop that. He's going to come. No, he's not going to come to Liverpool either. You guys stop that too. You guys go over there. Go with your McAllister. Take that. We got the big man, number 41 over there. He's coming to us. So I want everybody to rest assured that unless we truly cock it up, he's coming to us. Just pay the money and get it done, and then we can move forward. And then I would see a Caicedo. Yeah. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
That kid, he's no joke.
Mm-hmm.
Bring him in, and we have our midfield for the next 5 to 10 years. That's how good he is.
Yeah.
That's how good he is. and we don't have worries in the midfield anymore. That's how simple this is. Bring in the right talent. We don't have worries. We are at a Liverpool point in time right now when they brought in Alisson, they brought in Van Dijk, and they just filled out the side, and then they went on to win the league and Champions. We're at that precipice right now. We're at that precipice. It is up to Arsenal to do their due diligence. I mean, they've done their homework. Let's face facts. They know who their players are. Spend the money. Spend the money, Kroenkes. And I am with you, Turkish. It is now in the Kroenkes' lap. If they really love this club, they'll spend their money this summer. It is a referendum on the Kroenkes this year. Make no doubt about that.
Completely agree.
The ball is fully in their court. We have a fully functioning side. We are ready to go. It is up to them to take us to the next level. If you don't want to take us to the next level, we know how you feel about us. You'd rather be in LA with that spaceship you built out there, and with that rail system that you helped construct. Don't they? We understand now. We know how you feel. Sell up and give it to someone who really needs it. But this is the time. This is the time. This is what you said. Oh, when the time comes, we will spend. Okay, now's the time.
Here we are. I completely agree, Elliot. We will see. A few questions will be answered this summer, to say the least.
It is, man.
Hopefully they go in. Hopefully they go in the right way, in the direction the fans want. Because it's about time. Like you said, Elliot, pleasure as always talking to you, man. I'm sure I'll be speaking to you again next Monday, same time.
Same time, Turkish. Well done to you on this show. It's doing really, really well, and I only wish you continued success.
Thank you, my brother, man. Listen, like I said, it's a pleasure talking to you, and I've somewhat come to expect talking to Elliot every Monday now. So don't let me down.
I listen. As long as I have health, strength, and availability.
Yeah.
I will be here.
All right then, Elliot. Take care of yourself, man. Enjoy the rest of your day. Yeah.
Cheers, mate.
Love, my bro. Love. Super chat is coming from Lee. Just throwing a question out there. If Everton get relegated, does Pickford keep the number 1 spot for England, or does Ramsdale inherit first? I don't think relegation leads to inheriting a position for the England side, and knowing Southgate, that won't deter him from picking the guy he wants. But I think sooner or later we will be seeing Ramsdale as England's number 1, whether that's in the next year, in the next 2-3 years, or in the next 5 years. Ramsdale is still very young, so I expect him to be given a chance, and I expect him to take the chance. So we'll see. Just a heads up, Everton are 3-0 up away at Brighton. I repeat, Everton are 3-0 up away at Brighton. We've got Brighton this weekend. City have Everton away this weekend. And Everton have somewhat kicked into gear in that first 45 minutes. Hopefully, they can continue that momentum in the second half, and more importantly, for the 90 minutes this weekend against Manchester City. But that is mad to see. Everton 3 up at half-time against Brighton, and obviously Brighton still with some hopes of European football, still with some hopes of Champions League football, the way United have been moving recently. But this pretty much damages all hope of a top 4 finish, in my opinion. So they'll still be in with a top 6 shout, or a potential Conference League. Who knows how it will end up, but they'll be raring to go, ready to bounce back against Arsenal at the Emirates. And Everton, please, if you can do something, get it done this weekend. Take your best players off right now. That job is done over there at Brighton, and save them for the City game this weekend. Listen, it's been a pleasure talking to everyone that has taken part. Love for everyone in the comment section, everyone that sent in super chats too. There's still 700 in the building. Hit the like button on the way out. We're going to wrap it up now. And like I said to Elliot and a few of the callers, I'm here every Monday, 5 p.m. Download the AFTV Plus app, follow the instructions, and you can take part too, because FANZONE is all about your thoughts and opinions. So love for the love, people. Hit the like button. I'm out. Peace.